Jesus?
The word Jesus came from a Greek word, Jesus. And the Greek word Jesus was a Greek deity. And the word, as a matter of fact, the letter J was never in the original Hebrew language, nor the Greek language. J was never there. Even today, the Hebrew alphabet has no J. The Greek alphabet has no J. The J was the last letter that was introduced into the English language late in the 1500s. And the J letter came because a Catholic monk by the name of Galalitos was experimenting with the I and put the hook on the bottom of the I and made it a J. And that's how the J letter came into the English language. So his name was never Jesus. His name was and is Yahushua, which means Yahweh is salvation. Yahweh saves. And if we remember, even in the Gospels, when Matthew and Mark talk about the angel visiting Mary, and her real name was not Mary, that's the English word, but her true name is Miriam, and that's the Hebrew word. When the angel appeared to her, he distinctly said, "You will have a son. His name shall be called Yahushua," meaning Yahweh saves, because he continued by saying, "He shall save his people from their sins." So his name tells who he is.
Obadiah Yisrael of the Hebrew Israelites in Chicago points out that one of the facts Scriptures gives us about Israel in regard to their physical appearance is that Israel is described as physically looking like the sons of Ham in appearance. Ham was one of Noah's 3 sons. Shem and Japheth were the other 2. Noah's descendants repopulated the earth after the Great Flood. Ham's descendants are traced to the families of Africa. Ham, Quam in Hebrew, means black, hot, and burnt. Ham had 4 sons: Cush, Ethiopians, Cushites, and Nubians; Mizraim, Egyptians, and Kemet; and Phut, ancient Somalia. All 4 of Ham's sons and their descendants settled in and around the continent of Africa. This includes the so-called Middle East, which is also part of the continent of Africa. Ham's sons are the people of the African continent, the ancient Egyptians, Ethiopians, Somalians, Canaanites, etc. The Israelites are descendants of Noah's son Shem through Abraham. He is the father of the Hebrew Israelite nation. Abraham is the father of Isaac. Isaac is the father of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, and these sons are the patriarchs of the Israelite nation. The 12 tribes of Israel are as follows: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Zebulun, Issachar, Joseph, Benjamin.
The children of Israel were the children of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Jacob's name was changed to Israel because he had an encounter with an angel. Okay? In the land of Canaan, where they lived, there was a famine in the land of Canaan. One of Jacob's son, who was Joseph, which we call today Joseph, Joseph was sold as a slave into Egypt. Being a Hebrew Israelite, he served Yahweh. He trusted Yahweh because that's what he was brought up to love and serve Yahweh. He trusted Yahweh. And because while he was in Egypt of his faithfulness to Yahweh, he won favor with Pharaoh and all the people of Egypt. And so when Pharaoh had a dream and could not interpret the dream, they called for Joseph. And Joseph came and he interpreted the dream, and he made it explicitly clear to the king that we're going to have some years of plenty, we're going to have some years of drought. He said, but you know, the years of plenty, if we take all that we harvest and store it up, we will have enough to take us through the lean years. And the king was so pleased. He said, Joseph, you're going to be in charge of all this, taking care of all this and see that this is done. And while Joseph was there, his brothers forgot all about him because they sold him. And their father didn't realize that Joseph was still alive, because they went home and lied to their father and said, a wild beast killed him. But Joseph, his heart, his mind, everything was serving Yahweh. And he won favor. And his favor is what caused him to be able to reunite with his father and his brothers. His brothers, when they came down to get food, Joseph immediately knew it was his brothers, but they couldn't recognize him. Why? Because he was now dressed in an Egyptian apparel. And I mean, they're black paper. He recognized his paper.
Obadiah Yisrael of the Hebrew Israelites in Chicago points out that if Joseph and the Hebrews look like Donny Osmond, who portrayed Joseph in a stage play, his brothers would have recognized him easily among the black Egyptians. But Joseph's own flesh and blood brothers thought he was an Egyptian. The ancient Egyptians of Joseph's time were indeed what we know today as black. This is a fact attested to by many.
When Joseph became governor of Egypt, and he went to Pharaoh after making acquaintance with his brothers, went to Pharaoh and told Pharaoh, look, my family, my dad, my brothers, they're all, I want to bring them here because they're suffering over there. And Pharaoh was just happy to get Joseph's family down into Egypt. And these were Pharaoh's words: bring them and we will give them the best in Egypt. Hallelujah. And so Pharaoh sent carts to transport Joseph's father, his brothers, his wives, their wives, and their children. There were 66 people in all that left Canaan and went to Egypt. Hallelujah. But what happened is, while Joseph was there, he was the favorite to all of Egypt and all the nations around. Everybody knew Joseph because he was the man next to the king. And when the brothers came and they all settled there, after Pharaoh died, the new king did not know anything about Joseph. He did not know Joseph. So he didn't take to Joseph very quickly. And so Joseph had problems with him. He had problems with Joseph. In that, he found that these Hebrew people were multiplying too fast. So he says, you know what? We're going to do this. These people might just overrun us. They might become more than us and then join with our nations next door, and they will overrun us. They'll take us over. So he instructed the midwives. He said, every Hebrew woman that is pregnant and sit on the birthing stool, you make sure, you look and make sure that that child is not a male. If it's a male child, kill it, but let the female live. And the birthing women couldn't do it because Yahweh's spirit was in them. And they allowed the boys to be born and the girls to be born, and the king got angry. And he got angry and he says, no, they're multiplying faster than we are, so let us enslave them. That's how slavery began. That's where it all began. It began with those children of Israel. And Israel was Jacob's name, who was changed to Israel.
This is a historical depiction of the Jews